Imagine a single warship, so powerful, so heavily armed, that it could carry hypersonic missiles, advanced air defense systems, long-range strike weapons, high-energy lasers, and even electromagnetic railguns. Now imagine that building this new class of warships could cost the United States around $275 billion. That's more than the annual military budgets of many countries combined. According to a recent Congressional Budget Office report, the proposed Trump-Class Battleship program could become one of the most expensive naval projects in American history. If approved, the first ship alone is expected to cost around $23.4 billion. But here's the question. Why would the United States invest so much money in a battleship when many experts believe the era of battleships ended decades ago? And if this project moves forward, could it become the most powerful surface warship ever built? Today, we're breaking down everything we know about America's proposed Trump-Class Battleship and why it could completely change the future of naval warfare. For decades, the United States Navy dominated the world's oceans with aircraft carriers and guided missile destroyers. But the battlefield is changing. China is rapidly expanding its navy, launching advanced warships at a pace the world has never seen before. Russia continues to invest in long-range missiles and next-generation naval weapons. At the same time, hypersonic missiles, drone swarms, and artificial intelligence are transforming modern warfare. Many military planners believe future naval battles will demand far greater firepower, stronger air defense, and the ability to strike targets hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away. This is where the proposed Trump-class battleship enters the discussion. According to current proposals, the ship is expected to displace around 35,000 tons, making it significantly larger than today's guided missile destroyers. Unlike conventional warships that rely on gas turbines, the Trump class is planned to use nuclear propulsion, allowing it to operate for extended periods without refueling while generating enough power for future high-energy weapons. Its mission would be simple: protect the fleet, destroy enemy warships, defend against missile attacks, and deliver overwhelming firepower wherever it's needed. If the program receives full approval, the first ship is projected to cost approximately $23.4 billion, while the entire program could reach $275 billion, making it one of the most ambitious naval projects ever proposed in U.S. history. But spending this much money raises an even bigger question. What exactly would this massive warship carry that makes it so expensive? So, what exactly could make the proposed Trump-class battleship worth such an enormous investment? The answer lies in the combination of firepower, survivability, and future-ready technology. Unlike today's destroyers, the Trump class is envisioned as a heavily armed surface combatant capable of handling multiple threats at the same time. According to current proposals and early concept discussions, the ship could be equipped with a massive vertical launch system, allowing it to carry a large mix of weapons in a single deployment. That means one warship could launch long-range air defense missiles to intercept enemy aircraft and incoming missiles, fire anti-ship missiles against hostile naval forces, and strike land targets hundreds of kilometers away with precision-guided cruise missiles. But that's only the beginning. The proposed design also points toward compatibility with America's next generation of hypersonic weapons, missiles capable of traveling at speeds greater than Mach 5 while maneuvering in flight, making them far more difficult to intercept than conventional missiles. If integrated, these weapons would give the ship the ability to hit high-value targets in minutes rather than hours. Another major feature is its planned nuclear propulsion system. Instead of relying on traditional fuel, nuclear reactors could provide virtually unlimited range and generate enormous amounts of electrical power. That extra power is especially important because the Navy is looking beyond conventional weapons. Future versions of the ship could support high-energy laser systems designed to destroy drones, intercept missiles, and engage small boats at the speed of light, all without using traditional ammunition. Engineers have also discussed the possibility of integrating electromagnetic railgun technology if it becomes operationally mature in the future. Rather than using explosives, a railgun launches projectiles using electromagnetic force at incredible speeds, potentially striking targets hundreds of kilometers away. However, it's important to note that systems like advanced lasers and railguns remain planned or developmental concepts, and whether they appear on the final ship will depend on future testing, funding, and technical progress. If even part of this vision becomes reality, the Trump-class would represent a major leap in naval firepower. But having the world's most advanced weapons means little without one thing: the ability to survive against equally advanced enemies. Building one of the most heavily armed warships in history is only half the challenge. The real question is, can it survive on tomorrow's battlefield? Modern naval warfare is no longer fought with guns alone. Today's warships face threats from every direction. Hypersonic missiles can travel at incredible speeds. Attack submarines can strike without warning. Drone swarms can overwhelm traditional defenses. And satellites can track fleet movements across vast stretches of the ocean. To survive in this environment, the proposed Trump-class would need far more than powerful missiles. It would require a layered defense system, multiple rings of protection working together at the same time. The outer layer would rely on long-range air defense missiles, designed to detect and engage incoming aircraft and missiles before they get close. If any threats broke through, medium and short-range defensive weapons would provide another shield around the ship. Future concepts also envision high-energy laser systems that could engage drones and some incoming threats almost instantly, while reducing the need to use expensive interceptor missiles for every target. Beneath the surface, advanced sonar systems and anti-submarine helicopters could help detect and counter enemy submarines long before they reach firing range. But perhaps the Trump-class's greatest advantage wouldn't be a single weapon at all. It would be its ability to operate as the center of a much larger naval network. Instead of fighting alone, the ship would share real-time data with destroyers, submarines, aircraft carriers, surveillance aircraft, satellites, and unmanned systems. That connected battlefield could allow commanders to detect threats earlier, coordinate attacks faster, and respond within seconds. Even so, no warship is invincible. Military analysts continue to debate whether investing tens of billions of dollars in a single surface combatant is the right strategy in an era where relatively inexpensive drones and advanced missiles are becoming increasingly capable. Supporters argue that the Trump-class could become the most powerful surface warship ever built. Critics believe concentrating so much money and firepower into one platform could also create significant risks if it were damaged or lost. So that leads to an even bigger question. If this ship enters service, how would it compare with the world's most advanced warships, especially those operated by China and Russia? If the proposed Trump-class enters service, it won't sail alone. It will enter an ocean already filled with some of the world's most capable warships. So, how could it compare? Let's start with China's Type 055 destroyer. Often described as one of the most powerful destroyers ever built, the Type 055 is designed for long-range air defense, anti-ship warfare, and escort missions for China's growing aircraft carrier fleet. It is modern, heavily armed, and already in active service. But according to current concepts, the Trump-class would be significantly larger, with far greater electrical power from its nuclear propulsion system and the potential to carry a much larger and more diverse arsenal of missiles and future weapons. Now, consider Russia's Kirov-class battlecruiser. For decades, the Kirov has been one of the largest and most heavily armed surface combatants ever built. Its massive missile inventory made it a symbol of Soviet naval power. However, much of the Kirov design dates back to the Cold War. The Trump-class, if built, is expected to take advantage of modern sensors, advanced networking, artificial intelligence, and next-generation defensive systems that simply didn't exist when the Kirov was designed. And then there's America's own Zumwalt-class destroyer. The Zumwalt introduced stealth technology and advanced automation, but its high costs and changing mission requirements limited the class to just 3 ships. Many analysts believe the lessons learned from the Zumwalt program could influence the design of any future large surface combatant, including the proposed Trump-class. On paper, the Trump-class appears capable of carrying more weapons, generating far more electrical power and supporting future technologies that current destroyers were never designed to operate. But military power isn't measured by size alone. Training, logistics, intelligence, air support, submarines, and fleet coordination often determine the outcome of naval warfare far more than a single ship. That's why many defense experts believe the Trump-class would serve as the centerpiece of a larger naval strike group rather than operating independently. If the project moves forward, it could become one of the most capable surface combatants ever constructed. But capability comes at a staggering price. So the next question is impossible to ignore. Is a $275 billion investment truly worth it? Or could that money be spent more effectively on submarines, drones, and next-generation missile systems? Every revolutionary military project comes with one unavoidable question. Is it really worth the cost? For the proposed Trump-class battleship, that question is bigger than ever. According to the Congressional Budget Office, the entire program could cost around $275 billion, while the lead ship alone is estimated at approximately $23.4 billion. That's an extraordinary amount of money, even by U.S. defense standards. Supporters argue that this isn't just another warship. They see it as a long-term investment in the future of naval warfare. With nuclear propulsion, advanced missile systems, and the potential to integrate technologies like high-energy lasers and hypersonic weapons, one Trump-class could perform missions that currently require several different warships working together. Its enormous electrical power could also support future weapons that today's destroyers simply cannot operate efficiently. In other words, supporters believe the ship isn't being designed for today's battlefield. It's being designed for the battlefield of the 2040s and beyond. But not everyone agrees. Critics argue that modern warfare is changing faster than ever. Instead of investing hundreds of billions of dollars in a handful of massive warships, they believe the Navy should focus on larger numbers of submarines, unmanned surface vessels, underwater drones, and long-range missile systems. Their concern is simple. No matter how advanced a single ship becomes, it could still face overwhelming threats from coordinated missile attacks, drone swarms, or stealth submarines. Some analysts also point to previous naval programs that became far more expensive than originally planned, warning that ambitious projects often face delays, technical challenges, and rising costs. As a result, the Trump-class remains a subject of intense debate among military planners, lawmakers, and defense experts. For now, the program represents a bold vision rather than a finished reality. Whether it ultimately moves forward will depend on future funding decisions, technological progress, and the strategic priorities of the U.S. Navy. But one thing is already clear. If approved and built as envisioned, the Trump-class wouldn't just add another ship to the fleet. It could reshape how the world's most powerful navies think about surface warfare for decades to come. So what happens next? Will this ambitious proposal become the future flagship of the U.S. Navy, or remain one of the most expensive ideas ever placed on the drawing board? So, what happens next? At this moment, the Trump-class battleship remains a proposed concept, not a ship under construction. Before the first steel plate is ever cut, the program would need to pass through years of planning, design reviews, budget approvals, and congressional funding. Only then could construction begin. Even after approval, building a nuclear-powered warship of this scale would likely take many years. But that doesn't mean the idea should be ignored. History has shown that many of today's most advanced military systems started as ambitious concepts that seemed impossible at first. Whether the Trump-class follows the same path will depend on technology, politics, military strategy, and the defense budget in the years ahead. If the project moves forward as envisioned, it could become one of the most powerful surface combatants ever built, combining nuclear propulsion, massive missile capacity, advanced sensors, and next-generation defensive technologies into a single platform. For the U.S. Navy, it could represent a new chapter in sea power. For rival navies, it would likely become a major strategic challenge. And for the rest of the world, it would be another sign that the race for naval dominance is entering a new era. The oceans of the future won't just be controlled by the biggest fleets. They'll be controlled by the smartest technology, the fastest decision-making, and the most advanced weapons. Whether the Trump class ever leaves the drawing board or not, one thing is certain. The competition between the world's leading naval powers is accelerating, and the next generation of warships will look very different from those sailing today. So, what do you think? Could the Trump class become the most powerful warship ever built? Or is spending $275 billion on a single class of warships simply too risky in the age of drones and hypersonic missiles? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive into the world's most advanced military technologies. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.